What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And this is where we at here. So you clearly see the title of the broadcast. Apparently, in Mexico City, they're rioting for the fact that Americans are moving there and gentrifying the damn place.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
Now, don't this sound familiar? Don't this sound like something that's kind of going on in our country right now, where there's protests that's been going on? California is halfway burnt to death already, and then the protests break out for Mexicans to want to actually stay in this country illegally. But then they're rioting down in Mexico City about American citizens staying there that are actual citizens of Mexico. Now hold on
What the French toast is there to think about?
hold on here.
You old fish-eyed fool.
I'm confused because they're rioting in Mexico about the American citizens that are living there, but they're actually, citizens of that country. They didn't go down there illegally, but they want to come up here illegally and work and stuff like that. And, not gentrify, but, take less money for the same jobs that, hardworking Americans need to be paid in a decent wage for to keep up with the taxes and the economy over here. They're going to come and undermine us. But then, they don't want us moving down there, even if we are there legally. So I'm confused. So we're about to dive off into this. Let's find out what's going on here. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
Well, hello. Welcome to News FBA. Well, look what we have here. Look at what we have here.
Okay.
The reason we've gathered here is precisely to hear the thoughts of many victims, mainly young people today, for whom it's almost impossible to live, to find housing. It's not just that, we're living the consequences of gentrification, which is the government directing its public policies towards people with higher purchasing power, often illegally displacing local population who have lived in these neighborhoods for 40, 50, and we have documented cases of up to 60 years.
These protesters in Mexico City say cross-border migration is changing their country's capital for the worse. Over the last decade, an influx of mostly American so-called digital nomads have moved here to work remotely and also enjoy a cheaper cost of living. Protesters say the newcomers have driven up rents beyond the reach of locals.
If they're going to live in a country, they have to contribute to that country. The first and simplest.
What? Hold on.
Me in the morning.
You ain't right, man.
Oh, I'm right. You'll see.
Hold on. What the hell did he just say? If you're going to live in that country, you have to contribute to its tax base. You have to contribute to the country itself, right? Basically. What? Excuse me, sir?
Then what the French toast is there to think about?
Now, on the reverse end, we're saying the same thing over here in America, except for these are people, most of them over here illegally. We're trying to get them out. We're saying you could go home, through the reverse CVP program, come back and try to get back in as a legal citizen so you can add to the tax base so you can become a legal citizen. But at the end of the day, though, too, these Americans that are moving to Mexico or have moved to Mexico, they're there legally. Because they're not saying that these people are living in Mexico illegally now. Pay attention. Those people that have moved from America to Mexico are there legally. So, this is wild right here. Look at the reverse of this scenario here. Look at the chaos that's going on here. They got their people up here illegally riding to try to stay up here, burning cars and all this crap in LA and other places and things like that. And now at the same time, too, that you also got these dingbat Americans up here protesting for these illegals. And down in Mexico, they're trying to kick the legal American citizens out of Mexico, because they're there legally. But man, come on now. Don't that sound familiar? Adding to the tax base. That sounds quite familiar. I don't know where they come from, but it sounds familiar to me.
Issue is legal migration. They come here with visas or no visas, and still the change in purchasing power generates these problems of gentrification and displacement.
Ain't no way they going to Mexico with no visas. Ain't no way. Mexico don't play them same games we play over here. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way you getting in that country like that without, you know what I'm saying, having some true paperwork. The rest of the world don't play that. The only reason why America slacked on that situation was because of his last administration coming up with them false, undermined ass ways to get across, to get over our actual legal immigration system, and coming up with these undermined ways through this program and that program and stuff like that to, you know, escape the situation that is going to take time to actually get, you know what I'm saying, foreign people to move here because they got to do proper vetting. They didn't do proper vetting. That's the reason why it was an influx of illegals coming over here. Don't let this fool you. Ain't nobody going down to Mexico living, just being there illegal, like hot shit going on over here in America.
I'm here because gentrification is just one more step towards colonization, dispossession, and the exploitation of our resources. Right now it's about the people, but it won't be long before they run out of oil, water, or lithium in other countries and come and take them from us.
Many Americans in Mexico are able to still receive high salaries in dollars from U.S. companies by working on laptops from their apartments.
So my question is, I'm wondering here, how in the world, you know, you're going to be able to, you know, like she said, sell off your lithium, all that type of stuff. Yeah, that's your country's government that's going to allow that to happen. That's not going to be allowed to happen unless they actually come to some type of trade agreement and stuff like that to trade off those types of materials and things like that. You know, it's just not going to, you know, nobody's just going to barge down there and just take shit. You know, that's what starts wars. But agreements and actual, you know, compensation for this and that, that's how business is ran. So yeah, if your country is going to sell off your lithium and other things like that, then they're going to sell off the shit. You know what I'm saying? And if they don't decide to break bread with you as a country, I mean,
so what the French toast is there to think about?
You know, because it seems like Mexico's torn up. The reason why a lot of people are leaving Mexico, trying to come up here and stuff like that. If that's the case, I mean, Jesus Christ, you know, why don't you go home and make your own country great? If y'all have all these tremendous amounts of resources and things like that you can exploit to make sure that your country can get wealthy and stuff like, because lithium, I mean, Jesus Christ, if y'all got lithium like that, you know, the whole world use batteries now. I mean, Jesus Christ. Y'all should be raking in the dough. And if they're selling it off in Mexico and not taking care of their citizens, that sounds like a government issue. That sounds like y'all need to hold y'all government accountable. If they're selling the lithium off and other little things and stuff like that, and they're not actually providing for the country and letting the cartels just run all over the place like shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just being honest here because we know it's true. You know, everybody wants to sit there and act like, you know, the cartels ain't actually, you know, running rampant in Mexico. That's crazy to me. But listen, look, we're about to go here now and keep checking some things out.
Protests in Mexico City turned violent over the weekend as protesters took to the streets, making their voices heard against gentrification and mass tourism. The protest was directed at the large number of U.S. tourists as rent prices have increased dramatically since 2020, and many locals feel pushed out of their own neighborhoods, the Associated Press reports.
Pues el día de hoy estamos luchando contra la gentrificación. La gentrificación es este proceso por el cual las personas originarias de los barrios se ven desplazadas por gente con mayor poder adquisitivo. Es decir, gente que viene de otros países, en su mayoría extranjeros, a querer imponer su cultura, sus precios y desplazar a los mexicanos, a los nativos de estas tierras.
The protest started peacefully Friday in neighborhoods popular with foreign visitors. People gathered calmly to express concerns about issues like rising rents, displacement of locals, and how tourism is affecting their neighborhoods. However, the protests turned violent when a small group began smashing the windows of businesses and threatening tourists.
Look at this idiot. He got a whole knife out there. They smashing windows and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's the same way down there like it is up here. People are being paid to go out here and create this chaos. What they say at first, it started off peaceful and then it turned violent. That's how most of the protests over here have been. It started off peaceful and then all of a sudden it got chaotic, you know, and we know that it's been brought to light here recently about people being paid to protest and stuff like that by whatever entity or maybe corporation, whatever. You know, nobody really has the logistics on that. We just know that there are protesters that are being paid to go there to protest and stuff like that. So, you know, it just is what it is. This is wild right here. So here we go.
Protesters painted graffiti messages including "Get out of Mexico" and held signs reading "Gringos, stop stealing our home." After initial actions in
Don't that sound funny? Don't that sound funny? Y'all want to come up here illegally and take our shit and then, you know, use up all our government amenities and stuff like that. Been doing that for the past 4 years. And now, you know what I'm saying, it's getting cut out. Everybody's sad and mad about it and things like that. But y'all been using up our good health care, all types of things. We've been feeding y'all in the Roosevelt Hotel up in New York, high-rise stuff. And then y'all up in the Roosevelt Hotel in New York, sneaking up out of there, stealing cop cars, robbing people for purses and stuff like that on little motor schools and stuff. Y'all don't remember none of that? Y'all remember none of that? Y'all remember none of that? Y'all remember none of that, right? You don't remember none of that. Okay. So at the end of the day, though, you know, getting free healthcare, free food, all that stuff for the past 4 years. Now, all of a sudden, this shit popping up here in Mexico. They talk about the few little people that moved from America and down there and being Mexican citizens and stuff like that, the tourism and all that stuff. How else you think you going to get money? Tourism is all across the world. But at the same time, though, too, okay, if you don't want it there, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I think they should move away from down there. Whatever natural born American citizen need to get the fuck up out of there, stuff like that. We need to stop the tourism there and just shut that shit the fuck down.
What the French toast is that?
Just shut it down. Just shut it down. That's fine. That's fine. You want to creep over here illegally and then get mad when we want y'all to come here legally, but then no too the legal American citizens that are there that are breaking a little bread with y'all, because I guarantee it ain't just like super millions upon millions of American citizens living in Mexico. No, the few little American citizens that are, you know, have moved to Mexico and things like that, and the few little tourists that come down there, it is what it is. It's crazy out here, but that's fine though. You know what I'm saying?
local neighborhoods, marchers assembled outside the U.S. Embassy. And that's when more police officers showed up amid the unrest.
Vengo porque la gentrificación solo es un paso más a la colonización, a los...
She had to say in the other part. Hold on here. Let's see where we at here.
Mexico City's government secretary urged an end to the violence, saying Mexico City is a city of migrants and that the city's government does not agree with this type of demonstration. The city's governor, Carla Brugada, released a statement on X denouncing the violence. However, she said Mexico City officials oppose gentrification and are working on making housing more affordable. Similar protests have occurred in European cities such as Barcelona, Madrid, Paris, and Rome, where mass tourism and gentrification are also major concerns. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Lauren Keenan.
All right, so this is where we at right here. Apparently down in Mexico, they don't want American citizens there, things like that. At least, you know, well, from what we're seeing here, they don't want they don't want American citizens living there or being tourists. So, you know, if Mexico wants us out, I suggest y'all get the fuck away from down there. And at the same time, too, we keep deporting the illegals up here and things like that. And let's get this shit back balanced out.
What the French toast is that?
Everybody need to go home. Let's just, hey, I'm just get real right here. Everybody need to go home. How about that? Everybody go home. Then we start this whole thing back over again. And, you know, that's that. You know what I'm saying? I'm down for it. Everybody go home. Everybody go to their prospective places around the world. If you from China, can you add back there? India, Pakistan, you know what I'm saying? If you illegal, you know, if you legal, that's different. But if you illegal, take your ass on back home. You know what I'm saying? Russia, Istanbul, wherever, you know. Like, yeah, if you here illegal, take your ass on back home. And for the people down in Mexico with this particular story right here, get your ass up out of there before you end up with your tongue hanging out your neck.
What the French toast is that?
I'm just being honest. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Man, love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.